I woke up choking on my own breath. At first, I thought it was one of those nightmares old women have after falling asleep on the couch again. But when I opened my eyes, the darkness didn't move. It pressed on me. Heavy, sour, real. The air smelled like dust and old cardboard. My cheek was against a concrete floor. My knees were curled to my chest because there wasn't enough room to stretch. And when I reached out, my hand hit a metal door, a locked metal door. It took my body a few seconds to understand. But my mind, it understood instantly. Kelly had locked me in here. The memory hit me like a slap. Her face close to mine, that sweet fake smile she used for Instagram but never for me. "You'll rot in here," she whispered before the door slammed. I remember standing still for a full 10 seconds, thinking she was joking. People don't lock their mother-in-law in a storage room. People don't say things like that. Not in this century, not in California. Not 5 feet away from the garage, where a perfectly good Tesla sat charging. But then the lights went off. And now, here I was. I pushed myself up, bones cracking like old furniture. My throat felt like it had been scrubbed with sandpaper. I looked around for water. Anything. All I found were plastic bins labeled Christmas, a dead flashlight, and one of Jason's old laptops that probably hadn't worked since Obama was president. I pressed my forehead against the door. "Hello, Jason?" Nothing. "Kelly, please." Still nothing. I tried banging, but my fists were weak. I hadn't eaten since yesterday's lunch, which was really half a salad Kelly didn't finish. She slid it toward me and said, "Calories are calories." She even winked as if starving me was a diet plan we agreed on. I sat back down and took a deep breath. Well, as deep as an old woman can, when the air is stale and thick and the room is the size of a walk-in coffin. That's when I remembered my phone. I patted my sweater, my pockets, the floor. Finally, my fingertips brushed something cold near a box of tangled Christmas lights. My old iPhone. Cracked screen. Battery probably worse than my hip. But it turned on. 3% battery. No charger, of course. Perfect timing, Grace, I muttered to myself. I tried to steady my hands, but they shook like loose hinges. I pressed the emergency button, then accidentally hit the camera instead. My face filled the screen. Hair wild, cheeks hollow, eyes terrified. "Great. That's my obituary photo," I mumbled. I switched apps, pressed call. But the phone lagged, probably offended I was asking it to work under such stress. For a second I thought about calling 911, but my finger hovered over the screen. If the call dropped because of bad signal? If they thought I was confused or exaggerating, or just another lonely old lady with a dramatic imagination? My breath hitched. My chest hurt. Not from age, but from fear. There was only one person who would believe me. Even after 2 years of silence. Even after the fight we never mended. My daughter, Anna. I scrolled through the contacts until I found her name. I held my breath, prayed the signal didn't disappear into the concrete walls. My thumb pressed call. The phone rang once, twice. The battery dropped to 1%. "Please," I whispered. And in that moment, just before the screen dimmed, I heard someone pick up. A small, confused voice. "Mom?" The last thing I remember before darkness swallowed the room again was the sound of my own heartbeat, pounding like it wasn't done fighting yet. When I opened my eyes again, the room hadn't changed, but the air felt different. Maybe it was hope. Or maybe it was the hallucination you get when you're dehydrated and nearly 70. My head throbbed. My tongue felt thick. The iPhone lay beside me, dead, still glowing faintly from the cracked edges like it was trying to say, "Lady, I've done everything I could. Don't blame me." I touched the phone gently, a quiet thank you. If Anna really heard me, maybe she was already moving. Maybe, or maybe she thought it was a butt dial from her confused elderly mother and went back to her oat milk latte in Manhattan. I laughed under my breath. It came out like a cough. My ribs hurt. "Don't be dramatic," I whispered to myself. "You've survived teaching 3rd graders how to read. This is nothing." That was the thing about getting old. The world thought your suffering was exaggerated, but you knew better. Older people didn't dramatize. We minimized. If we admitted how bad things were, the whole structure would collapse. I took a breath, held my sweater tighter, and tried standing again. My knees popped so loudly, I was sure the Christmas ornaments in the bins next to me shook out of respect. I pressed my ear against the door. Silence. No footsteps, no keys. No Kelly yelling about fingerprints on her aesthetic white cabinets. I was alone. But for the first time in months. I felt a flicker of anger instead of fear. "Rot in here," she said. Like I was a piece of moldy fruit in her designer fridge. The memory ignited something inside me. Rage wasn't becoming on a grandmother, but at that moment it felt like the only thing keeping me upright. I spotted a long metal broom handle leaning behind a stack of storage bins, thin, dusty, but solid. I grabbed it. If I couldn't break the door, maybe I could at least make some noise. I jabbed it against the metal. Clang, it echoed sharply. I did it again, and again. "Hey," I shouted. "Anybody there?" The broom vibrated with each hit. My arms shook. I sounded less like a woman fighting for her life, and more like an angry raccoon trapped in a dumpster. But it was something. A ridiculous thought flashed. If Kelly walked in right now, she'd probably start recording me for TikTok. My crazy mother-in-law having another episode, lol. I rolled my eyes at the imagined caption. But after a minute, the banging stopped. My strength drained faster than the phone battery earlier. I sank down, letting the broom clatter beside me. My vision blurred again. That's when I heard something. A distant rumble, a car, then a door closing, quick footsteps across the driveway. Not Kelly, her heels made sharp, impatient clicks. These steps were faster, determined, familiar. My heart jolted. Then, "Mom, Mum," Anna's voice. I crawled toward the door. My palms burned on the concrete, knees stiff, breath ragged. "Anna," I tried to say, but it came out like a croak. I heard her try the garage door code, Jason's old birthday. Of course Kelly changed it. Then she ran around the house. I could imagine her blonde hair flying, her tote bag bouncing against her hip, her phone already dialing someone with authority. Her voice rose again, breathless, terrified. "Mom, if you're in there, knock on something." I grabbed the broom handle with trembling fingers and slammed it against the metal. Clang. Silence. Then, clang, clang, clang. Her scream tore through the air. "I hear you. I'm right here." The broom slipped from my hand as my body gave out, my forehead pressed to the cold door. I wanted to stay awake. I wanted to speak. I wanted to tell her I was sorry for everything we'd left unsaid. But all I managed was one shaky whisper. "Anna, baby." My eyes closed, and for the first time since Kelly locked me here, I knew I wasn't going to die. Someone was coming for me, someone who still loved me. I woke to the sound of chaos, not inside the room but outside it. Footsteps, voices, a metallic clatter. Then someone yelled my name with the kind of panic you only hear in hospital shows or when a New Yorker misses the last subway for the night. My vision returned slowly like an old TV warming up. The storage room swam into focus. The air felt colder now, or maybe that was just fear leaving my body inch by inch. "Mom, step back, we're opening it. Anna." My Anna. For a moment, I thought I was hallucinating her again. Dehydration can do that, makes you see angels that look like your children, except mine would be wearing a blazer and carrying a leather tote full of books she never finishes. There was a loud metal crack, then another. Someone grunted, tools scraped against steel. Anna's voice trembled. "Why won't this stupid thing break? Sir, please, try again." Another man answered. "Ma'am, it's a deadbolt. Give me a second." A second. I'd been in here long enough to measure time by my heartbeat, and none of those seconds were merciful. Then, the lock snapped. Light burst into the room, like someone had opened heaven's sliding doors. I blinked, lifting a shaking hand to cover my eyes. "Mom." Anna rushed in, knees on the floor, arms around me. Her perfume hit me first, warm and citrusy, the same scent she always wore when she needed courage. The second thing that hit me? Her tote bag slamming into my shoulder. "Ow," I whispered. "Oh, sorry." She jerked the bag away. "It's heavy." I brought water, protein bars, a little blanket. "Mom, oh God, you scared me." She cupped my face with trembling hands. She looked older than the last time I saw her. Not aged, but sharpened, like life had been sanding her edges down and polishing her into steel. Behind her stood a big man holding a crowbar. The neighbor from across the street, I think. He gave me a sympathetic nod, then almost tripped over a box labeled Easter stuff. "Careful," I croaked. "Those plastic eggs are dangerous." Anna let out a half-laugh, half-sob. "She's joking. Good sign, right?" The neighbor nodded again, relieved. "Yeah, if she's making jokes, she'll be fine." Anna opened a bottle of water and held it to my lips. I sipped like a newborn calf. Water never tasted so miraculous. "Mom," Anna said softly. "What happened? Did you fall? Did someone lock you in?" Her voice caught on the last words. I looked at her. at the fear in her eyes, the way she kept brushing hair out of my face like she did when she was little and thought I needed fixing every 5 minutes. I wanted to answer, I really did. But a shadow moved behind her. Kelly, standing in the doorway to the garage, frozen, holding a Starbucks cup and looking like she expected to walk into a quiet house, not a rescue mission. "Oh my God," she gasped dramatically. "Grace? What are you doing in there?" Her performance was so over the top I almost clapped. Anna turned, slowly, like a lioness spotting a sickly gazelle. "What did you just say?" she asked. Kelly lifted her hands. I don't know how she got in there. Maybe she wandered, she forgets things, and Jason isn't home. I was going to." "She forgets things?" Anna repeated, her voice like ice cracking. Kelly gulped. I raised a finger weakly. "Sweetheart, I didn't wander. She put me here." Silence. Even the neighbor stopped breathing. Kelly blinked. "She's confused. Older people." Anna stood up, and when she spoke, her voice wasn't trembling anymore. "You locked my mother in a storage room," she said. "Now get out of my way." Kelly opened her mouth, maybe to lie, maybe to cry, but Anna didn't give her the chance. She stepped forward, shielding me like she was made of stone and fire at the same time. And in that moment, for the first time in years, I felt protected. Not by the lock on the door, but by the daughter I thought I'd lost. They carried me out of the storage room like I was made of glass. To be fair, after nearly a day without water, I probably weighed about the same as a sad rotisserie chicken from a discount grocery store. Anna kept one arm around me, the neighbor held the other. Kelly followed us like a malfunctioning robot, stiff, blinking too much, clutching her Starbucks cup like it might testify on her behalf. "Careful with the step," the neighbor said. "I'm fine," I whispered. "Mom," Anna snapped gently, "your legs are shaking." I looked down. They were. Like two rebellious teenagers refusing to listen. Once inside the living room, Anna eased me onto the couch. I almost sighed at the feeling of cushions, soft, real, not concrete pretending to be a floor. Kelly hovered behind the island counter, hands trembling as she placed her iced latte down. It made a tiny clack sound. I swear the cup looked nervous too. Anna turned to her. "Explain," she said. Just one word, but somehow it carried more threat than a police siren. Kelly smoothed her hair, then put on her spa receptionist smile, the one she used when upselling facials to unsuspecting women. "I don't know what happened," she said lightly. "Grace must have gotten confused and wandered in. Storage rooms look like bathrooms sometimes. With age, things get mixed up." I raised an eyebrow. "Bathrooms? Filled with Christmas boxes?" Kelly shot me a thin smile, as if I'd inconvenienced her script. Anna crossed her arms. "So she went into the storage room, locked the door from the outside, and threw away her own water?" Kelly blinked. "Maybe she panicked?" "Oh yes," I croaked. "I panicked myself into a locked room. Happens to me at least 3 times a week." The neighbor snorted behind his hand. Kelly shot him a glare. "This is a family matter." "Not anymore," Anna said. "I heard her on the phone. She said your name. She said you put her in there." Kelly's eyes widened in fake offense. "She's confused. She makes things up." "She also almost died," Anna snapped. The room went quiet. Even the refrigerator hummed softer. "Look," Kelly said, her voice wobbling. "Jason's out of town. I've been overwhelmed. Work, the kids, the house. Maybe I made a mistake." "A mistake?" I repeated. "Sweetheart, a mistake is forgetting to salt the chicken. This was attempted, well, you know." My voice cracked, so I didn't finish the sentence. Kelly's eyes darted toward the hallway, maybe calculating escape routes like a criminal in a made-for-TV movie. But every direction she looked, Anna stood between her and me. "Where are the kids?" Anna suddenly asked. Kelly hesitated. "School." "And Jason?" "Seattle. Business trip." "Good," Anna said coldly. "That means we can take Mom to the hospital without you getting in the way." Kelly's mask slipped. "Hospital? That's excessive." "Dehydration, bruises, blood pressure," Anna listed. "Doctors will handle it, and others." The way she said others made Kelly stiffen. I pushed myself upright. My body screamed, but my voice was steady. "Anna," I whispered, "I need my medication before we go." Kelly stepped forward instinctively. "I'll get it." "No," Anna cut her off. "Tell me where it is." Kelly froze. Then, reluctantly, she pointed toward the high cabinet above the fridge. Of course, the tallest one. The one I couldn't reach, even with a ladder and a blessing from God. Anna opened it and pulled out my pill bottle. Her jaw clenched when she saw cobwebs around it. "How long has this been up here?" she demanded. Kelly didn't answer. Anna marched back to me, hands trembling with anger, and helped me stand. "Mom," she said softly, "you're coming with me now." Kelly panicked. "You can't just take her, Jason." "Jason doesn't know what happened," Anna said sharply, "but he will." Something in Kelly's expression cracked. Fear, real fear, finally seeping through her makeup. "Grace," she whispered, "please, tell your daughter you misunderstood." I looked at her, this woman who had smiled at my face while pushing me into shadows. "No," I said. "I've misunderstood you for long enough." And with that, Anna guided me toward the door. I didn't look back, but I heard Kelly choke on her breath, like the house suddenly felt too small for her lies. The world outside the house felt brighter than I remembered, like someone had turned the saturation up on real life. Or maybe that was just what happens when you almost die in a storage room, and then see daylight again. Anna helped me into the back seat of her rental car, a clean silver sedan that smelled like new leather and judgment. The neighbor waved awkwardly from the driveway, holding his crowbar like he wasn't sure where to put it. "Thank you," I called weakly. He nodded. "Anytime, ma'am. And if she comes near you again, just yell. I've got tools." Anna muttered, "We won't need tools. We'll have the law." Kelly stood near the garage, arms folded, watching us with the expression of someone trying to calculate how bad the damage would be if she just ran. Anna slammed her door shut and drove. I leaned my head back, watching the California sky blur past the window. "Mom," Anna said, her voice softer now that we were alone, "you need to tell me everything. All of it. Don't protect anyone." I opened my mouth, but my throat was still raw, so what came out sounded like a dying pigeon. Anna reached into her tote and pulled out a bottle of coconut water. "Sip slowly." I did. Heavenly. She glanced at me, eyes wet, jaw tight. "She could have killed you." I didn't respond, mostly because she was right, and also because the coconut water was so good I was momentarily spiritual. We reached the ER in 20 minutes. Anna parked like a New Yorker, diagonally and with strong emotion, then helped me inside. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, cold but honest. Hospital lights don't lie, they illuminate every bruise, every truth. A nurse with bright blue scrubs rushed toward us. "What happened?" she asked. Anna answered before I could speak. "Elder neglect, possible confinement, severe dehydration." The nurse blinked. "Okay then, right this way." As she guided me to a wheelchair, Anna hovered like a mother hen with a law degree. They took my vitals, drew blood, gave me an IV. When the cold saline hit my veins, I nearly sighed from relief. "Grandma," the nurse said kindly, "do you know where you are?" "Of course," I whispered. "A hospital. I'm old, not auditioning for a zombie movie." She laughed. "Good, you've still got your spark." Spark. Funny word for a woman who felt like someone had unplugged her for months. When the doctor came in, he reviewed my chart, looked at the bruises on my arms, and frowned. "How long since you had your blood pressure medication?" he asked. "Yesterday morning," I whispered. "It was difficult to get to." Anna's eyes flashed like lightning behind me. The doctor's voice sharpened. "This isn't a simple fall. This is prolonged neglect. We're required to notify authorities." Kelly's face flickered in my memory, her smirk, her threats, the door slamming shut. "Good," Anna said. I closed my eyes, letting the oxygen from the nasal tube calm me. But then, because God has a sense of humor, my stomach growled. Loudly, violently, like a disgruntled bear waking from hibernation. The nurse paused. "Are you hungry?" Anna nodded. "She hasn't eaten since yesterday." "I'll bring something soft," the nurse said. "Soup, maybe applesauce." "No applesauce," I croaked. "That's the food they give people right before they die." Anna snorted. "Mom, applesauce is not a death omen." "In nursing homes it is," I whispered dramatically. The nurse laughed. "All right then, soup it is." When she left, Anna finally sat beside my bed and took my hand. "Mom," she whispered, voice cracking for the first time. "You almost didn't make it." I squeezed her fingers gently. "I know. And you didn't call me for 2 years, but when you were dying you called me." My throat tightened, "because you always hear me, even when you pretend not to." Her tears fell before she could stop them. "Mom," she said, "I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere." For the first time in so long, I believed someone, really believed them. The hospital room felt calm in a way my body didn't recognize. Machines hummed softly. The IV bag swayed every time I moved. A warm blanket covered my legs, and I swear it felt like being hugged by someone who actually cared if I existed. Anna stood near the window, talking to someone on the phone. Her posture was rigid, but her voice was steady, the kind of steady that meant someone was in serious trouble. "Yes, officer," she said. She's stable now, but she was locked in a windowless storage room. No food, no water, bruises on her arms, medication withheld. I closed my eyes. Hearing it out loud made everything too real. After the call ended, Anna walked back to my bedside. "They're coming," she said quietly. I nodded. "Good. Mom, are you ready to tell them everything?" I let out a slow breath. I've been ready for years. I just didn't know it. Before we could say more, my stomach betrayed me again with a growl so loud, ivy pole rattled. Anna burst out laughing. Really laughing, the kind she hadn't done since she was young enough to think I had superpowers. "Mom," she said, wiping a tear, "your stomach entered the chat." I sighed dramatically. "Tell it to behave. We're dealing with police matters." The nurse returned with a tray of soup, crackers, and, God forbid, applesauce. "No," I said, pointing at the cup like it was radioactive. "Remove the mush." Anna grinned. "She thinks applesauce is a death prophecy." The nurse smiled. "Noted. Soup only." I sipped carefully. It tasted like something between chicken broth and hope. A soft knock sounded at the door. 2 officers stepped inside, a tall woman with sharp eyes and a younger man carrying a small tablet. "Mrs. Miller?" the woman asked gently. "We're here to talk about what happened." Anna straightened like she was ready to cross-examine them instead. The officers sat down, giving me space. I appreciated that. Older people can smell condescension from a mile away. The woman asked first, "Can you tell us how you ended up in that room?" I swallowed. "My daughter-in-law put me there. She locked the door. She took my water. She took everything." The young officer typed notes. "Did she physically harm you today?" "Not today," I said, "just every day before it." My voice shook, but I kept going. "She hid my medication. She reduced my meals. She told people I was confused so no one would believe me." Anna clenched her fists at her sides. The woman officer leaned forward. "Mrs. Miller, this is serious. Very serious. What she did is a felony." "I know," I said softly. "I also know I should have spoken sooner." The young officer asked, "Why didn't you?" There were 1,000 answers. Shame, fear, loneliness, the belief that old women are burdens, the silent pressure to endure for the sake of family. The way you convince yourself you're overreacting because you don't want to be thrown away. But I said the simplest truth. Because she made me believe no one would listen. Anna's face crumpled. She put a hand on my shoulder gently. "I'm listening," she whispered. The woman officer nodded with empathy. "You did the right thing now. That's what matters." They asked more questions. Dates, details, small moments that seemed insignificant until someone asks you to put them in a row. When I finished, I felt exhausted but somehow lighter, like handing over a burden so heavy you forgot what breathing felt like. When the officers left, Anna sank into the chair next to me. "Mom," she murmured, "I'm proud of you." I smiled weakly. "I didn't do much." "You survived," she said. "That's everything." I looked at her, my brilliant, stubborn daughter, and felt something I hadn't felt in a long, long time. Protected, safe, seen. But deep inside, I also felt something else. A small, growing fire. Because for the first time, I knew Kelly wouldn't be able to hide behind her pretty smile anymore. I spent the night in the hospital under warm blankets, drifting in and out of sleep while machines beeped like polite little robots checking if I was still alive. Somewhere around dawn, a nurse brought me oatmeal. I stared at it like it was a suspicious object. Anna raised an eyebrow. "Mom, it's oatmeal, not a threat." "It's on the same emotional tier as applesauce," I whispered. "Too close to the afterlife." She laughed, shaking her head. "Fine, I'll get you toast later." A few hours passed, and just as I was debating whether oatmeal could be improved with salt, it could not. Anna's phone buzzed. She checked the screen and her expression changed, sharpened. "It's the neighbor," she said. "The one with the crowbar." "Does he want his tool back?" "No," she said. "He's bringing something." When he arrived 40 minutes later, he held a thumb drive the way people hold evidence in crime shows. 2 fingers, serious face, dramatic pause. "I think," he said, "you'll want to see this." Anna plugged it into her laptop. The screen flickered to life, showing the view from his outdoor security camera, pointed directly at our shared driveway. Kelly appeared on video exactly as I remembered her. Sunglasses too big, outfit too coordinated, attitude too smug. She walked gracefully across the driveway toward the garage, phone tucked between ear and shoulder. Then came the line, clear as a bell through the camera's audio. She's useless. I'm locking her in there until Jason gets home. Maybe he'll get the message. Anna's breath caught. The neighbor muttered, "Yeah, that's what made me call you." We watched as Kelly opened the storage room door, shoved me inside, and slammed it shut. The camera caught her locking it, turning the key with the kind of satisfaction a villain shows right before a commercial break. Then she strutted away like she'd just won an award. "Wow," I whispered. She really committed to the performance. Anna's jaw tightened. She's done. But the video wasn't over. A few minutes later, Kelly returned with a large trash bag and threw away all the water bottles from the garage shelves. Anna slammed the laptop shut. "That's it. That's all we need." The neighbor nodded. "I already emailed copies to the officers." He left, and for the next few seconds Anna stood there in silence, hands shaking, chest rising and falling fast. Then she suddenly grabbed a cup of hospital water and chugged it like a college student. I stared. "Are you drinking aggressively?" "Yes," she snapped, "because if I don't do something with my hands right now, I'll get arrested before Kelly does." I laughed despite myself. "Please don't commit crimes in front of my IV." She paced the room until she finally calmed down. Then she sat beside me and took my hand. "Mom," she said quietly, "we have to talk about something." Uh-oh. When a grown child starts using that tone, it usually means they're about to suggest assisted living or give your car keys to someone responsible. "What is it?" I asked. Anna hesitated. "We need to call Jason." My stomach twisted. Not because I didn't love my son. I did. In the way mothers love flawed children who don't always see danger until it eats them whole. But I also knew Jason. He didn't like conflict. He didn't like drama. And above all, he didn't like admitting he was wrong. "Do we have to?" I said weakly. "Yes," she replied. "He needs to know the truth, and he needs to hear it from you." The fear crept into my chest again, different from the storage room fear. This was the fear of breaking someone you raised. Anna squeezed my hand. "I'll be right next to you," she said. I nodded. Because whether I was ready or not, Jason was about to discover exactly what kind of woman he married. Anna waited until after dinner, or my version of dinner, which was hospital chicken soup and a heroic number of saltine crackers, before calling Jason. I watched her thumb hover over the call button like she was preparing to launch a rocket. "Ready?" she asked. "No," I said honestly. She pressed it anyway. Jason picked up on the second ring. "Hey, babe," he said, sounding tired. "I just got out of meetings. What's going on? Why'd you call twice?" Anna didn't waste time. "Jason, Mom's in the hospital." Silence. Then a confused laugh. "What? Why? Did she trip over something again? You know how she gets." Anna's eyes narrowed. "Don't finish that sentence." Jason paused. "Okay, what happened?" I took the phone from Anna. My hand shook a little, not just from weakness but from something heavier. "Jason," I whispered, "I didn't fall. Kelly locked me in the storage room." Another silence, longer this time. "Mom," he said slowly, "are you sure? Kelly told me you've been overwhelmed lately. Maybe you mixed up." Anna snatched the phone from my hand like a lawyer grabbing evidence. "Jason Miller," she snapped, "if you finish that sentence, I swear I'll send you the video myself." "Video? Video? What video?" I heard confusion turning into worry and then into fear. Anna hit play on her laptop and turned the phone toward the speaker. Kelly's voice filled the hospital room loud and clear. "She's useless. I'm locking her in there until Jason gets home." Jason inhaled sharply. Then came the sound of the deadbolt. Then Kelly's footsteps walking away. Jason whispered, "Oh my God." Anna spoke softly but firmly. "Your wife did this to your mother." I didn't know. I swear I didn't know." I closed my eyes. The part of me that wanted to protect my son, even from the truth, twisted painfully. "Jason," I whispered, leaning closer to the phone, "why would I lie about this?" He exhaled shakily. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I should have been paying attention. I should have listened." "Well," Anna muttered, "better late than never." Jason ignored her tone, probably because he knew he deserved it. "What do I do?" he asked, voice trembling. Anna folded her arms. "You cooperate with the police, you tell them everything, and you stay away from Kelly until the investigation is over." "Police?" Jason sounded stunned. "Are you pressing charges?" I spoke gently. Jason, what she did was a crime. If Anna hadn't come. My voice cracked. I wouldn't be here to talk to you. Jason said nothing for a long moment. I heard him breathing hard, like someone trying to keep it together in a hotel hallway. Finally, he whispered, I'll come home early. I'll talk to the investigators. Whatever Mom needs. I'll do it. Relief washed over me. Bittersweet, but real. After we hung up, Anna set the phone down and gave me a look somewhere between victory and exhaustion. See? That wasn't so bad, she said. I think I aged 3 years, I muttered. Anna chuckled. Welcome to parenting adults. A nurse entered to check my vitals. She glanced at the screen. Blood pressure's stabilizing. That's a good sign. Must be the soup, I said. Or the justice, Anna added. The nurse laughed as she left. When we were alone again, Anna sat on the edge of my bed. Mom, after all this is over, you're not going back to that house. I nodded. I know. And you're not living alone anymore. I sighed. I can't live with you. Your apartment is small enough as it is. I wasn't suggesting you live with me, she said, voice softening. I was suggesting you live near me. I blinked. Near you? In New York? She smiled. Why not? You deserve a fresh start, a real one. The idea felt impossible, terrifying, exciting, like being offered wings at 70 years old. Think about it, she whispered. I did. And for the first time in a long time, I imagined a future that wasn't defined by fear. 3 weeks later, I found myself sitting in a courthouse. A place I'd only ever seen on TV dramas, and once when I had to pay a parking ticket in 1998. Let me tell you, everything looks scarier when you're the reason people are whispering. Anna sat beside me, her hand wrapped around mine, the way you hold something precious and fragile, like a snow globe or a grandmother who recently escaped captivity. Jason sat on my other side, shoulders slumped, eyes red. He hadn't slept well since the video surfaced. Guilt aged him a decade in a week. Kelly entered the courtroom like she thought it was a fashion show. Perfect hair, perfect makeup, perfect outfit. All that was missing was a spotlight and maybe a designer handbag to swing dramatically. When she saw us, her expression flickered, the first crack in her porcelain mask. Then, she straightened her posture like she was ready for a photo shoot titled, Innocent Wife Endures Misunderstanding. The judge called the room to order. The prosecutor played the neighbor's video. Loud, clear, unmistakable. Kelly's voice filled the courtroom. She's useless. I'm locking her in there until Jason gets home. Gasps echoed across the gallery. Someone whispered, Oh, hell no. Even the bailiff raised an eyebrow. Kelly looked like she'd swallowed a lemon whole. Then she tried to play it cool, a tiny shrug, a faint smile, a dramatic sigh. But the judge wasn't having it. The prosecutor turned to me. Mrs. Miller, can you describe what happened after the door closed? I took a breath, steadying myself. Yes, I said. I remember the darkness. I remember the cold. I remember thinking, this is how people disappear. And I remember being thirsty enough to consider licking condensation off the pipes. Luckily, there wasn't any, which was rude. The courtroom chuckled softly. Kelly scoffed. She exaggerates everything. The prosecutor raised an eyebrow. You can also hear her begging for water on the recording. Kelly's jaw tightened. Then Jason stood. Everyone turned. My wife, he said quietly, told me my mother was confused. She told me my mother fell a lot. That she misplaced things. He swallowed hard. I believed her. I shouldn't have. Kelly's head snapped toward him. Jason. But he kept speaking. When I saw the video, I realized the problem wasn't my mother. It was you. My son sat down, trembling. I reached out, squeezing his hand. He finally squeezed back, a small gesture, but one that healed something deep inside me. Kelly's lawyer attempted a weak defense, claiming stress, confusion, a misunderstanding, but every word only dug her deeper. When the prosecutor presented the evidence that she trashed the water bottles and hid my medication, even the judge leaned forward. Finally, it was Kelly's turn to speak. She stood, hands clasped dramatically. I didn't mean to hurt her, she said softly. I was overwhelmed. The kids, the house, she made things difficult. I raised an eyebrow. By breathing? A ripple of laughter spread through the room. Kelly glared at me, that same glare she used whenever I forgot to separate recycling properly. But now she couldn't weaponize it. The judge cleared his throat. Mrs. Miller, what do you want the outcome of this case to be? Everyone turned to me. Even Kelly, eyes wide, expecting me to spare her. But I had spent years being small, quiet, forgiving to people who didn't deserve the absolution. I wouldn't do it again. I want her held accountable, I said, not out of revenge, but to make sure she can't do this to anyone else. And for my own peace. The judge nodded. After a tense pause, he read the verdict. Kelly was found guilty of elder abuse, unlawful imprisonment, and reckless endangerment. Sentenced to time in county jail, community service, mandatory counseling, restraining order, 2 years minimum. Court-ordered restitution for the money she used that belonged to me. Kelly's knees buckled. The bailiff moved toward her. And for the first time since she entered my life, Kelly had nothing left to say. 3 months after the trial, I moved into a small apartment near the waterfront. Nothing fancy, but bright, quiet, and undeniably mine. The first morning there, I made coffee in my own little kitchen and nearly cried when no one criticized how loudly I opened the cabinet. Freedom, it turns out, sounds like nothing. Absolutely nothing. And it's beautiful. Anna helped me decorate. She insisted I needed warm lighting and happy plants, even though I told her plants fear me. One afternoon she dragged me downstairs to the little Starbucks at the base of the building. You need to socialize, she said, handing me a latte. Meet people, real people, not the kind who think storage rooms are acceptable living spaces. I snorted into the phone. Very funny. That's when I saw him. The man at the corner table with a weathered camera and a MacBook Air covered in travel stickers. Salt and pepper hair, thoughtful eyes, easy smile. He looked like someone who belonged in a coastal novel where the main character learns life lessons while walking on the beach. Liam. He glanced up, caught me staring, and smiled. A warm smile, the kind you feel in your chest. I panicked and pretended to read the menu board, which I'd already memorized. Anna leaned in. Mom, he's cute. I'm not dead, I whispered, just traumatized. Still, I felt something fluttery and ridiculous. Over the next week I saw him again and again, sometimes editing photos, sometimes writing notes on a legal pad, sometimes humming quietly to himself like a man who wasn't rushed by anything. Finally, one morning, he approached my table. You're the lady who orders the vanilla latte with extra foam, he said. I blinked. How do you know that? You say extra foam with the same energy of someone placing a secret order at a speakeasy. I laughed, a real unguarded laugh. Well, I suppose that's me. He held out his hand. I'm Liam, I just moved into the building. I took it. His handshake was warm, confident, gentle. Grace. From that moment, conversation flowed like we'd already met in another lifetime. He told me he taught photography workshops at a community center. I told him I once tried to photograph a sunset, but accidentally captured my thumb instead. He laughed. Then you're already ahead of half my students. We started meeting for coffee a few mornings a week. Then walks along the water. Then a weekend outdoor market where he insisted on buying me a tiny succulent because it looked like it had your attitude. That plant is doomed, I warned. It'll survive, he said. Just like you. That line hit deeper than he realized. One evening, as the sun dipped low, I found myself telling him everything. The storage room, the loneliness, the trial, the years of shrinking myself to fit into other people's comfort. He listened. Really listened. His eyes didn't hold pity. Just understanding. When I finished, he touched my hand, gentle as a brushstroke. You deserve better, he said. My voice shook. I'm trying to believe that. He squeezed my fingers, then let me help. I felt something warm open inside me, something I thought had closed forever. Later that night, alone in my living room, I sat with my Kindle glowing softly in my lap. I wasn't reading. Not really. I was thinking about how strange life is, how one phone call, one unlocked door, one patient smile can change everything. I thought about who I had been, who I was becoming, and who I might still be, not a burden. Not a shadow in someone else's home. Not a woman waiting to disappear, but Grace. A woman with a second chance at life, at joy, at love. Maybe even at falling in love again. 6 months after moving into my new apartment, I woke up to the sound of birds instead of footsteps outside my door. A ridiculous thing to celebrate, maybe, but after the life I'd lived, silence felt like a luxury. Peace felt like a winning lottery ticket. I made my morning latte with extra foam, just the way I liked it, without anyone rolling their eyes in the background. And as always, I took my mug out to the balcony overlooking the water. The sunrise painted everything in gold. It struck me then. I survived. Not just the room. Not just the years of cruelty, I survived myself, my doubts, my fear, my silence. Some mornings I still felt the ghost of that storage room, the darkness, the cold, the hopelessness pressing against my skin. But then the wind brushed my cheek, or I heard Anna laughing on the phone, or Liam knocked on my door with a blueberry muffin accidentally bought 2 of, and the world felt new again. Speaking of which, the balcony doors slid open and Liam stepped outside, hair messy, holding his camera. "You're up early," he said. "I'm old," I shot back. "We don't sleep. We recharge like slow electronics." He grinned. "Well, your battery's looking at least 80% today." He sat next to me, shoulders brushing gently. That small contact, warm, intentional, safe, still surprised me sometimes. I didn't expect to feel this kind of affection again at my age. I didn't think my heart had room left. Turns out hearts are more elastic than pride. "Grace," he said quietly, lifting his camera, "can I take your picture?" I snorted. "Why? Did you run out of beautiful landscapes?" "No," he said softly. "I just want to remember this version of you." I felt my breath catch. "What version is that?" "The one who knows she deserves joy." The words settled gently into the parts of me that had been bruised for far too long. I didn't pose. I didn't straighten my hair or adjust my sweater. I just looked at him, really looked, and let him capture me exactly as I was. He lowered the camera and took my hand. "You're the bravest woman I know," he said. I shook my head. "No, I was just tired of being afraid." "Being tired," he said, "is exactly how courage starts." I leaned my head against his shoulder. The sun warmed my skin. The world felt wide again. Some people think a second chance arrives like a lightning bolt or a miracle. For me, it arrived as a knock on a balcony door, a camera click, and a man who saw my strength even when I'd forgotten it existed. And that quiet, steady kind of love was the softest ending I ever imagined.